Support for WYES is made possible by Mary Lou Kristovich in memory of her husband, William Kristovich.
Good evening, I'm Peggy Scott Laborde. I'm back. And welcome to Steppin Out, spotlighting the New Orleans area's arts and entertainment scene. Seated at our table tonight, New Orleans native Danny Wilson, promoting a new book about growing up here in New Orleans. And he's also a music producer and founder of God Loves Thugs Crusade. And we're going to talk about all this great stuff. So good to see you. And he used to work at Channel 12 way back when, so we're glad to see him.
Thank you.
Poppy Tucker, host of the radio show, the award-winning radio show, Louisiana Eats, airing twice weekly on WWNO Radio. Good to see you once again.
Peg.
We're extra excited to see Mr. Rick Wiggington, vocalist. We've been talking about doing this for a long time. He is the vocalist for the band Sex Dog, which started in the 1970s and is regrouped, and he'll be performing with his band a little later. Welcome, Rick.
Thank you. Hi.
And Steppin Out's theater critic, Alan Smason. Editor of the Crescent City Jewish News, and as you all know, I just got back from New York. We'll talk a little bit about that, some New Orleans connections later. But first off, Miss Poppy.
Well, I apologize if I'm the last person to find out how fabulous Merrill is. But I finally got to Merrill, and it is really someplace to go. It's a beautiful restaurant, and Chef Will Alvalar, who's the chef there, is doing some amazing food. We just had the most incredibly delicious crispy chicken livers with pate. There's lots and lots of small plates.
And we should point out, just in case somebody's hearing this for the first time, it is a part of the flagship of Emerald's.
Yes, Merrill is like Emerald, but that's also the name of his daughter. And so he wanted this food to be something that she would love too. And it is all very approachable. And it's sort of all over the board. No matter what your taste is, there's something delicious for you there. Like crispy chicken livers with pate. That is kind of a wicked thing. Roasted okra. Okay, sounds virtuous, but it came with marrow to dip in. Truffle pasta chips. Crispy turkey necks. Now, maybe this may not be your thing, crispy turkey necks. Trust me, just try it. It's unbelievable. All over town, you know how Brussels sprouts are such a big deal. What about roasted Brussels sprouts and sweet potatoes with blue cheese, grapes, candied walnuts, and a Steen's cane vinaigrette? The roasted oysters are also unlike anybody else's. They're served, again, with marrow, hog's head cheese, and salsa verde. And the pastas were exceptional. The fettuccine nero has crab meat and octopus in his black squid ink pasta. The lamb pappardelle, oh my gosh, it was so good. And listen, even if it's not your birthday, at least once a year, try to get away with telling them it's your birthday. I was with my daughter, and she said, Mama, do not intrude on people and take their picture. It's incredible. They come out with this big cotton candy thing with a sparkler sticking out of it. It's the most exciting thing I've ever seen in a restaurant. So pretend it's your birthday and go to Merrill. And someplace I've been dying to find out was what happened out at Tony Angelo's on Fleur de Lis. And of course, that's the new Rizzuto's Ristorante and Chop House. These were the people who were on Magazine Street at Amici. The food is fantastic. There's a couple of Tony Angelo favorites that are still on the menu. The eggplant Valentina is perfect. The brisket salad still on the menu. The burrata and prosciutto with arugula pine nuts tossed in lemon oil, finished with a fig balsamic reduction. Oh my goodness, that was good. The chop selection is excellent, and frankly, for a 22-ounce bone-in ribeye for $65, not a bad deal. And then, of course, all the classic Italian dishes like veal or chicken piccata or parmesan or masala. There's bruschelloni, something that you just don't see.
That's very rare.
Very lively bar, lots of families, big groups, private dining options. It's great. Go out there. You're going to love it. And then everybody's been waiting for Saffron to open. And I got to go to Saffron this week. Lots of wonderful small plates, tamarind shrimp, beautiful cocktails that they make. The space itself, there's been like 3 or 4 restaurants in there. You feel like you've gone to Manhattan when you walk into this place.
Wow.
If you were there when it was Bayou Rouge or Sèvres, you won't even recognize it. The redo was fabulous. Tandoori chicken kebabs with pickled onions and a masala dip. Crab meat puda, which is lentil pancakes with a date tamarind chutney and a mint chutney. And then they have those tandoori made bread. So you've got the whole wheat roti and the tandoori naan, which also comes garlic or truffle as options. And then it reminds me sort of Shaya, where you get all of those wonderful things to eat, the hummus with the pita. Well, there you have the roti sathi to have with eggplant or spinach or cauliflower or lentils, all these wonderful little small bowls of things. And the entrees, spice-crusted Gulf fish, rum-soaked lamb chops, pork vindaloo, and goat masala. And for dessert, chocolate and chai, and the chai tea instead of coffee. It's really great.
Bobby, it keeps on coming, huh?
Well,
you
really
never not
different.
have news.
This is really different.
Yeah.
This is we don't have anything like this.
We're just it's never dull in the restaurant scene
There's
here. It really
always
isn't.
something.
More so than ever before, though. It's just incredible. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we turn to Danny. And Danny, you grew up in the 7th Ward.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this book is sort of a recollection, maybe somewhat fictional, but kind of based on some memories. Bloodhounds, Mystery of the St. Christopher Marsh.
Yes.
Please expound.
Back in the day, how we settled arguments, we would play football. And the name of our group was called the Bloodhounds. So instead of fighting, we would play with other neighborhoods, and we got together, got our uniforms. Somebody may not have had a helmet, somebody may not have cleats, but we had a team. And together, that's how we would battle and settle our arguments.
So this idea is, you have the background of growing up in the neighborhood, and I love the fact that you mentioned New Orleans and New Orleans streets. And the 7th Ward, just for somebody who's, let's say, who's new to New Orleans, where would that be roughly?
Around Dule Street, off of between Esplanade and maybe AP Turo, around St. Augustine High School.
St. Augustine,
if that was the point, we could put St. Augustine High School.
So there's a bank heist, there's all these intriguing characters, and then you go out to the east in the Marsh, and it's full of great stuff. Now it's locally available at the great community book center right there on Bayou Road, but also you've got Barnes & Noble and Amazon and the usual online too. But this is something that, how did it come about? I mean, were these your memories? And we should mention Mr. Stephen Alfred, who actually assembled this, put this together.
Well, it's memories, and it was true memories. We always get together on Saturday morning, meeting at one of our friends' house, and every Saturday we will go to Dillard University, and of course, their lawn is like carpet, and you couldn't play on that lawn. So we would start on that lawn knowing that the security guy would bring us and run us to the back. Where the levee was. In the back, they had a football field. It was a little dungy. And then we would play guys from the other side of town and just settle our arguments there.
Well, we should say, this is for a general audience, of course, but I also would say young adult.
Yeah, but I said middle school, high school, young adults.
It's very readable and most pleasant. Now, tell us, though, we're so proud of you. You're an alum of WYES and, of course, of New Orleans. You live in Atlanta now, but tell us about what you do.
I have a business called Light Media Holdings. It's an inspirational media company. Out of the 16,000 publicly traded companies, out of African Americans, there's only 7 African Americans publicly traded companies, and we happen to be one of them. Yeah, so out of that, my ministry is called God Love Stars Crusade, and we produce inspirational hip-hop gospel music. So that's one of the things that we do.
So you wouldn't think hip-hop and gospel would go together, but they do, huh?
Well, when you look at the movie Ray Charles took jazz and he took gospel, and that was the basis of his music, so it's the same thing.
Now, you used to work for LL Cool J?
Yeah, I worked for LL Cool J as a road manager, Montel Jordan, Puff Daddy, a lot of the guys. I was their road manager, so I handled all the logistics on the road, which I got all that experience from WYES.
Of course you did.
Yes,
That's how we do it.
That's how we do it. Yeah, we train you to grow out. Yeah, and grow out into the world. Yes.
Exactly. So it's a mix of this, and I love the term holy hip hop.
Yes. It's inspirational gospel because you have the hip hop, and like you and I were talking about, most people have a bad perception about hip hop, but it's music, and if you can inspire somebody through music, the hip hop, and it goes together. We did a music awards back in Atlanta for 12 years called the Holy Hip Hop Music Awards, and we had kids come from all over the world, Iceland and China, just to come spend a weekend with us in
Well,
Atlanta.
we have your contact information we're going to show on the screen, and tell us your websites if people want to know more too.
Bloodhounds.com, and we also
for the book.
GodLovesThugs.com as well.
All right. Well, once again, we're so proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations on your success. And New Orleans Magazine's quiz queen, Julia Street, has a question for us. Last time, Teresa Farley named the Louis Armstrong song that is now popular in a movie, of course, and it was set in Vietnam. And the movie was the song first, What a Wonderful World, and then the movie, of course, was Good Morning Vietnam. Now, tonight's question. This Irma Thomas classic was about the weather. We can relate to the weather, can't we, in more recent times? Name the song and its composer. Email your answers to steppinout@wyes.org. Our prizes, a year subscription to Louisiana Life magazine. And we have a t-shirt with the message Unsinkable New Orleans from our friends at wearablevegetables.com. Also, a $50 gift certificate from our good friends at Kitchen Witch Cookbooks on Bayou Road, and a New Orleans Public Service Transit Token t-shirt worn by WYES production assistant Burke Bischoff. Public Service, as many of us remember, is the company that used to supply electricity and also operating the transit in New Orleans. See more of these and the new t-shirt line, go to neworleanspublicservice.com. You can visit WYES.org for our online calendar to see our lineup of events, including a prayer service for peace at the New Orleans Healing Center. That's tomorrow evening at 6:30. You can also link to our WYES YouTube channel to view our program. And now, Rick, Sex Dog. Where did that name come from?
Scrabble game.
A Scrabble game. Yes.
Someone had placed dog, and of course, with our incredible genius and knowledge and great vocabulary, someone else put sex in front of it. And they won. And this was before the Sex Pistols and before internet, or we would have changed the name immediately. But now we're stuck with it, and it's our brand, and we've reformed after 30 years.
Well, this is so exciting.
So.
Yeah, you started in the 70s, and so it's 2010, and you kind of pop back up again?
Mm-hmm. And since our last performance in the 70s was at the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival with the Madonna 15 band opening for us. It was great. And then we've recently played at the Voodoo Festival. And now we're back together. And our drummer actually worked at YES for years.
Yes, and he
years
still
and
does
years,
on occasion.
And still does on occasion.
And you've got Cranston Clemens, who has a wonderful guitarist, has played with Dr. John and so many.
He's playing with Cyril Neville right now and constantly playing.
Very good.
And we have another guitar player, Oli Sassone, who spent a lot of his time in the film business doing music videos and television. And now we have a new bass player, our fourth one. And she was auditioned by the rest of the band, and it turned out to be my wife. And we actually met at Jimmy's, which is the Willow, where we'll be playing.
Yes, that's Saturday night. We should point out this is a fundraiser. A producer named Al Champagne has been putting together faithfully for years a history of the punk rock scene in New Orleans. And so bands are coming together on Saturday night. Lenny Zenith and quite a few others.
Which have older members, and now they do David Bowie, T-Rex, sort of the glam period. Really, really well. And actually my wife was in that band earlier. And that's how she ended up in this. It's a long story that's not very interesting.
Well, you have a Facebook page, so if people want more information about Sex Dog. But I think that's certainly a name which you can't forget, and we've heard for many, many years, and glad that you're back up. And but you're not a punk band. You all are a rock and roll band.
Basically, yes.
Basically. All the music is original?
All original, and all
so
written
tonight,
by the band.
Yeah, that's great. Now you're playing tonight, Letters from Hanoi. Tell us the genesis of that.
It was basically written about the boat people from Vietnam, and unfortunately, as we continued playing, it also covered Cuba and Haiti, and now let's go Syrian refugees.
Yeah,
and It's sad that after 30 years we can still sing the same song and it's relevant, but
yeah, absolutely.
that happens.
Right. So looking forward to hearing you all.
Great,
and
thank you.
now, though, it's time to do that. Cranston Clements, Dave Landry, Ole Sassoon, Cindy Wiggington, and Rick Wiggington. And here we are with Letters from Hanoi.
10,000 people arriving by boat. They're trying to sneak in town. Well, I'm afraid they got snared off the coast, and I'd hate to see them drown. I miss my wife and my family. I lost my job in my land. And looking back, you know, I think that it's more than I can stand. Yeah, I'm so glad where I've got to be. Land of the brave, home of the free, I'm a refugee. Land of the brave, home of the free, I'm a refugee. Not a lot that we can do except feed the kids and dogs. They're always quick to bite the hand that feeds them. They're such ungrateful wogs. I miss my wife and my family. I lost my job in my land. And looking back, you know, I think that it's more than I can stand. But I'm so glad where I've got to be. Land of the brave, home of the free, I'm a refugee. Thank God I'm a refugee.
Thank you.
Once again, Sex Dog will play a concert benefit to support the production of the documentary Almost Ready, the story of punk rock in New Orleans by Al Champagne. It's tomorrow night at the Willow, formerly Jimmy's Uptown. And now it is time for our Artist Spotlight. Tonight we are featuring murals from Dom Gregory de Witt. He was a Dutch Benedictine monk who was commissioned in 1946 to paint a series of murals at St. Joseph Abbey in Covington. And we also have a self-portrait by artist and art writer James Patrick Reed, who will be giving a lecture at the Abbey. That's tomorrow at 2:30, titled Invisible Things Clearly Seen, the Spiritual Dimension of Art. And this is all during Arts at the Abbey, an all-day event starting at 10 a.m. with tours of the Abbey honey, where they have honey, artworks, and you can also learn about Leonardo da Vinci's secret drawing techniques, and you can tour all of the de Witt murals, which are many over there. They're exquisite. Visit the website for more information on that. And now time for Mr. Allen.
Well, it looks like two of the people at this table have seen war paint, and
Yes,
one
we
of us
did.
at this table has seen the Prince of Broadway, which I'm so jealous that you got to see.
It's about to open, sort of bits of hits from, of course, West Side Story Company, a little night music.
It's sort of like Jerome Robbins' Broadway was a few years back.
Exactly. It is. Very, very well done. Looking forward to everybody seeing it.
Well, anyway, I'm going to bring everybody a little bit closer to home now, because this is the closing weekend, the final weekend for the Tennessee Williams Theater Company's production of Camino Real. No, not Camino Real, because he insisted that it should be anglicized. Tennessee Williams was in many ways a man concerned with his place in literature. He had already achieved a great deal of fame with The Glass Menagerie, A Street streetcar named Isaiah and the Rose Tattoo. And he then more or less moved into dealing with man's mortality and sort of his own place in the lexicon, if you will, of literature. Delving deep into his imagination, he came up with this dystopian, quasi-Spanish-speaking Western town on the edge of really nowhere, a desert, in which characters of his own mixed with historical characters, real characters, and then characters from fiction. Leading the cast of Camino Real are veteran actors, Carol Sutton, who plays Marguerite Gautier. You may remember that as the heroine, if you will, of Lady of the Camellias, which was, of course, transformed into La Traviata, and, of course, we will remember Camille, the movies, et cetera, that were made of it. Again, she plays opposite the hero, if you will, James Howard Wright, who plays William's conception of the famed lover, Jacques Casanova, mellowed in his old age. And of course, it's sort of like a way station for people trying to move from life into the passing, if you will, into another dimension. We're not quite sure. His attempts, of course, to deal with his own mortality, I think, really revolve and devolve, if you will, into Kilroy, who's Christopher Robinson. He plays a down-on-his-luck boxer. He finds himself transported back in time to this weird way station, and he attempts to escape with the help of some of the people who were in there. There's, of course, Carol Sutton. Also on the cast there, I want to mention, besides Jim Wright, Lynn Gathright plays several roles, including those of Prudence, a woman who wants her way out of Camino Real. Again, we've got among the many other bizarre residents there, a gypsy played by Mary Pauley, and her daughter Esmeralda goes through a strange transformation under the moonlight in which she, believe it or not, restores her virginity. So there's a whole lot of going on, and these characters, they move in, move out. They actually occupy what they call blocks of the Camino Real. It's also done with tremendous projections, and the whole experience at the Marigny Opera House is immersive. One of the best things I've seen that they've ever done. 22 actors. This is the largest cast that Agustin Carrero has done. He and Nick Shackelford, of course, are the creative artistic directors there. But this is a really impressive work, and one that it takes a lot of time to understand. I'm not sure that even after seeing it that everyone will truly understand it on so many different levels. It was not a very successful Tennessee Williams play, and part of it is because it's so involved and so complex. But I think that if anybody gives any credence to it and anybody gives really wealth to what the author had intended, it is this company, and they do a really great job. And essentially, it also expresses how the artist felt about living in the era of the McCarthyism, all of the situation where there was this deep, dark, frightening world out there where an artist, had to worry about what he was putting on paper. So therefore, I would really recommend this. It's the closing weekend, runs through tomorrow night, and again, once it's gone, it's gone. So if you can get a ticket, which you may not be able to, check it out at Marigny Opera House. Meanwhile, not too far away from Marigny Opera House, at a place, it's called the Castillo Blanco Art Studios. This is where I believe Chewbacca has their headquarters. They've set up this wonderful set which resembles sort of like a ring, and when I say a ring, I mean a boxing ring. So it's a sort of a rectangular boxing ring, if you will, rather than a square as we're accustomed to. And this is where the cast of Caligula is playing out on their schedule, which runs through August the 27th. This is a play which was done by Camus, if you remember Albert Camus, who was considered by some people an existentialist. He considered himself an absurdist, and this is an absurd piece of work. The Cripple Creek company, basically founded by Andrew Vaught, takes this piece, and they've done a little bit of adaptation by Andrew Vaught, with Ian Hawke as, of course, as Caligula, even Spiegelman as Sonia, plays sort of a cross-dressing, if you will, transvestite, some people would call that a trans person, involved in this as well. They've taken some liberties with the script as far as it goes, but this is a very powerful script. I will tell you that it's difficult to understand because I think that in every translation from one language into another, there's always going to be something lost. And I think that the richness of the French language is sort of lost in this translation. The characters, though, come across pretty well. Clint Johnson, in particular, plays the person who essentially leads what essentially becomes a assassination I guess you might call it plot. But the plot is not necessarily hatched by the people who are doing the assassination. It's actually hatched by Caligula, who does things that are so over the top and so extreme and so beyond the pale that he essentially sets up his own assassination. Again, this is set into progress after Drusilla, his sister, who's had relations with, dies, and he tries to recapture her as the moon. It's a very involved, very interesting, again, existentialism it might be implied in this, but again, I would tell you that this is a work that needs to be seen. It's free of charge. They don't charge anything for this. Yeah, and I would also recommend, if you don't go, try to go to their website and at least donate some money, because they've already done Blitzkrieg's Rock the Cradle Will Rock. They've also done last year Ragtime. Again, these were award-winning productions, and unfortunately, they have to do this on their own. If you can help them out a little money-wise, that would be great. Over at the World War II Museum, BB Stage Door Canteen was the site where 40 candidates, if you will, 40 would-be Stage Door Idol finalists competed over a 5-week period, 4 competition weeks, and then the finals just this past week. And Margie Cates came in as the finalist who won the $1,000 gifts. And also, it was revealed she's going to actually be singing the national anthem at the Ravens-Saints game on August the 31st. So another little piece that she got that she didn't expect. But fantastic talent there, Margie Cates. Also at the World War II Museum performing that night was Spencer Rocca, who's going to be rocking, if you will, this Frank Sinatra show with Bobby Darin, etc. This is going to be coming up in September. Do not miss this. It's going to be a wonderful work.
Thank you very much. Now it's time for our picks of the week. Danny.
God Love Stars is going to be launching it on YouTube in September.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
Puppy.
In tribute to my pound puppy, Buddy, the Bow Wow Luau to benefit City Park tomorrow night. Tickets start at $101. It's a tribute to 101 Dalmatians. It's going to be great fun.
Rick.
We're at Siberia on August 27th, Sunday night, playing, and Jamie Lee and Len Vessels will also be playing with us.
Great.
One of the craziest and funniest stars from old Hollywood, Tallulah Bankhead, is being parodied in a piece called Loop. That's going to be at the Valiant Theater and Lounge, and we'll have more on that, I guess, later on.
Okay, very good. And before we go to my picks, I'd like to acknowledge the passing this week of Britannia Theater owner and film historian Rene Brunet. And we really, really miss him. Mr. Brunet was just a darling man. He was long involved with local movie theaters and, of course, the owner of the Britannia. Truly a gentleman and a theater scholar. His son Robert will continue to run the theater. We'll have a tribute to Brunet next week. Services, by the way, are planned for Friday, August 25th on what would have been Brunet's 96th birthday. It's at Our Lady of Prop Sucker. That's on State Street. A public memorial will also be held at the Britannia Theater later on, and we'll let you know that. And I'd like to congratulate Al Carnival Time Johnson and Irma Thomas for being crowned next year's King and Queen of the Krewe of Stars. Here they are celebrating with Carl Mack and others. Thanks so much to photographer Judy Bottoni for the photos. And now my picks. The second annual Architecture and Design Film Festival kicks off next Thursday evening with the party at the Contemporary Arts Center. Tickets are $50 and $60 at the door with food by Carmo and Second Line Brewery and wine and all kinds of things. Screening of Getting Frank Aguirre. And the festival continues through next weekend with screenings at the Broad Theater. Visit their website to see more information. And looking ahead, don't forget the Symphony Chorus. An August night at Antoine's, a fundraiser for the Symphony Chorus. Great group, of course. And finally, we just wanted to thank and bid adieu and good luck Ms. Ashley Richard Morris, our dear associate producer, director, so many things. Yes. She's been with us for over 12 years at WYES, 12 years, it's amazing. And so wishing her well, she's going to be joining the staff of WWOZ. Congratulations. Good night, thank you all so very much. Thanks for watching.